like it's 7 o'clock. I'll call to order the Seymour Common Council meeting for Monday, May the 13th, 2024. Welcome everybody to the George Green Council Chambers. We will now invite the Reverend Les Lenz up for the invocation. All rise.
As soon as this email comes back, go pray. Father, we thank you in Jesus' authority for giving us a meeting tonight that's filled with civility and peace by and to all. Divided kingdoms do not stand, and neither will a divided Seymour. We can and should agree to disagree agreeably. We pray likewise for transparency, not just of fact, but attitude. May the gift of discernment reign large tonight. May we not just hear with our ears, but listen with our hearts. May we understand what will, as well as what will not happen, if we should act a certain way, both now and in the long run. Finally, Father, we bind hostility in Jesus' authority tonight and loose in its place the spirits of cooperation and peace we know to be in heaven. Once again, we pray this in Jesus' authority. Amen.
Amen. Is Liana here? Okay. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please, Mr. Bowes.
Mr. Blish.
Here.
Mr. Terrell.
Here.
Mr. Hackney.
Here.
Mr. Hubbard.
Here.
Mr. Davidson.
Yep.
Mr. Lucas.
Here.
Mr. Story.
Here.
Full council.
Sorry, I had to add Mr. Terrell since he was not a part of the council.
Congratulations,
We put
Brian.
the agenda
Welcome
out.
aboard.
Thank you. So, congratulations, Brian. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Minutes of the previous meeting. Everybody's had a chance to review them. I'll entertain any motions related to.
Before a motion's made, Mr. Mayor, can I have just a second on the floor?
Sure.
We have a packed house tonight like we did have the last few weeks. I'm just going to remind everybody we are not going to have a meeting like March 25th. Ordinance 1 passed in 1992, Section B, contempt and disorder in council room. No person shall use violent or contemptuous language in a disorderly manner, or refuse to obey the orders of the mayor or presiding officers in the council room while city council is in session. The mayor is the presiding officer and may order the removal from council room of anyone who intentionally disturbs the decorum of council meeting. Just want everybody to be aware of that because we are not having another one of those.
Okay, Mr. Hubbard. Okay, so everybody had a chance to review the minutes of the previous meeting. If so, I'll entertain any motions related to.
I'll make a motion to accept the meetings of the previous session.
Second. Motion and second to accept the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reports from committees, boards, and commissions. Mr. Bowes?
Mr. Blish.
No, sir.
Mr. Terrell.
No.
Mr. Hackney.
No, sir.
Mr. Hubbard.
No, sir.
Mr. Davidson.
I do. First thing I have is a abate transfer request. This is from the abatement from RP Realty of Seymour to MSG Seymour LP. I don't see Bridget. Is Bridget here? She said she was going to be virtual, but I don't see her. But anyway, this is
Ryan's on from TWG.
okay. Do you want to explain to us? I got on my sheet here what's going on, but do you want to explain to us the reason behind the transfer?
Yeah, essentially we got the abatement before the new entity was formed. So in a tax credit partnership, it basically enters into a new partnership with the investor partner. And so the request before you guys today is to transfer that abatement to the actual entity that now holds the real estate on that transaction. So really just the same abatement that was approved before, just kind of getting it to the correct entity level and accepting the forms that have been submitted.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from the council have any questions, for Ryan?
I do, Seth.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I presume it's a 10-year abatement. Does that stay the same? I mean,
Yes, yeah, nothing changes, just the going from MSG Seymour, or RP Realty to MSG Seymour.
Okay, so if they had 8 years left, they
Yes,
still have 8
everything
years.
stays the same on that.
Okay.
Just the change. All right. Seeing no further here, I'd like to make a motion to approve the abatement transfer request from RP Realty of Seymour to MSG Seymour LP.
Second. Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
I'm going to abstain from voting.
Okay. Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Request to transfer has been approved, 601.
All right, I'll go into the compliance with statement of benefits. Mr. Plump is away in Muncie on previous engagement, so I'm going to do my best here. So, I got Silgan is up first. Let me see what I got here.
All right, good morning, or good afternoon. Jim McKern from Silgan Plastics. We have 2 personal property abatements here. Where first one was in 2018 for 2.1 million. We had invested in equipment. We ended up investing just a little bit over 2 million. In 2020, we had a second one for 4.8 million, and we ended up investing about 4.6. Last year, the plan employed about 175, and the plant's up to about 210 at this point in time.
All right, total payroll I see is 11.3 million, is that correct?
Yes, about correct, yep.
Okay. All righty, thank you, Jim. Next one I have is O&K America. Looks like 5 personal and 6 real estate. Let me see here.
Yes.
You want to come up and state your name and
My name is Keiko Takeshita, Chief Financial Officer, and we have 5 personal property and 6 real estate we requested.
okay. It looks like the most recent personal property abatement was from late 2022. It has wrapped up 1.7 million in actual personal property versus projected of 2.4. The other 5 abatements are personal property. Actual investment was 23.1 million versus the actual projected was 22.5 million. And on real property, actual was 6.1 with projected of 5.2. Shows you're at 71 employees, which is an increase of 10.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Looks like we got Plant Nutrition Operations LLC, which is the Andersons. Daniel, there's Dan.
Yep.
All right, Dan, you want to
Yep.
tell us? Looks like
Yeah,
you have.
absolutely. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
No, I was going to say, it shows you have 1 real and 1 personal. Is that correct?
Yes. This is our most recent abatement. I think we just had 1 fall off as we, continue to invest in our facility there. Not only to, just to keep, our market and, continue to build the business, but also we continue to look into new growth and new opportunities and just various things like that. So the continued investment in machinery equipment just allows us, and the abatement on that allows us to continue to make those investments and maintain the employment, so on and so forth, as we have for the, quite a few years now, but on the several abatements that we've had in the last several years. And then this one, I believe, is on our 2nd year of renewing. So basically, without sounding whatever about it, just status quo. The investment's been made and continued employment. Just requesting, I believe it's 2nd year of the approval of the abatement.
Okay. Looks like the actual investment on the real was 191,000, and the actual on the personal property was 5.4. Company employs 20 workers. Is that correct? Sound right?
Yep, that sounds about right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, thank you.
Next up I show is MSF Seymour LP, which was formerly RP Realty. Ryan, if you're still with us there, do you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, for some reason I'm in trouble pulling the forms up, but I gather that you guys have those in front of you. So this is the same project we talked about before, affordable housing project there in Seymour. And we've hit the kind of abatement goals or assessment goals that you guys have in front of you today. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Looks like it was a $10.6 million investment. You actually invested 10.648, and you have 3 employees hired. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. And my final one is here, Marpar Properties. I see Brad Pardick's in attendance over here. Let me see here. I'll go over this, Brad. Looks like this is for the construction of the office building on Community Drive 2017, right? You had a estimated $400,000. Actual cost was $316,000. At the time of the construction, you had 2 employees and projected hiring 4 more, and now you stand at 9 employees. Is that correct?
Correct. We're up to 8 now.
Okay. Anything else to add on that?
I'm sorry.
Is there anything else to add? Is that all correct?
Not really. We're down to the, like, I think we have a couple years left on this, and then it'll be over with.
All righty. Thank you, sir.
Seth, does that have to be amended from 9 to 8? Chris, does that have to be amended
Or
not?
No.
Those are just like projections.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, Brad. Anybody from the council have any questions, comments for the 5 I just read off? Anybody from the council have any? All right, seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve all the compliance with statement of benefits.
Second.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
I'm going to abstain again.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Statements of benefits have been accepted, 601.
I have nothing further.
Any reports, Mr. Lucas?
Report from the Governmental Affairs Committee. Letters are out. We've been tasked with seeking attorney for council only. The letters are out to almost all the county, probably all the attorneys in the county that we could find, we could locate. So they all went out. We have a deadline of June 21st for them to be returned, and we meet on the 24th.
Is there any reason that you couldn't share that with the council? Chris?
It's assigned to council or to the committee, so I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong by doing so.
I think you're free to share it with council only.
Okay.
As it is, at this point, a personnel issue, I would not discuss it publicly just yet until, ready to make a final decision.
Good. I'm totally transparent about it. I just want to make sure I wasn't doing anything wrong. So.
So to be clear, we are allowed to share that with other council members. That's what you said?
With the council,
Okay.
but just as an information for them if they want it.
Like
Thank
the
you.
executive
So
meeting?
wait, do we go into executive session then? Because you'd have to have the whole council there, correct?
Yes, for discussion of, once the committee receives responses, I believe they are planning on scheduling an executive session so that all of council can be present and openly discuss the options once responses are received.
Okay.
I will email that information out when I get home this evening.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
Sure.
Oh, wait, you're going to email it to every council member?
Just the proposal that we
The
sent out.
proposal.
It's just
Okay.
it's essentially an RFP, correct?
I just didn't want to create another open door policy problem.
Well, that's why I'd been asked to share it before. I wanted to wait till tonight for clarification before I did that because I did not want to get into
With
that.
that, the caveat is no discussion, no policy making, no.
Information only,
It's
right?
just to be read and discussion to follow.
Well, in that case, you don't even have to have executive session, right? If you're not making any decisions.
Well, we will be making a decision at some point.
It's kind of
After
a
the
personnel issue,
21st.
so that's where, executive session
Okay.
You have to have.
I don't have proposals back yet, I just have the
No, I
information that I've
understand.
sent out.
And it is not a published RFP at this time, right?
Correct.
It is not.
Anything else, Mr. Lucas?
No.
Mr. Story?
No.
Back to you, Mayor.
Well, first, I want to thank all the compliances and let y'all know that you're welcome to leave as your part is done whenever you choose, online or in person. So no offense if any of you do. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And then I'll go into old business, although there is none. You want me to skip it and just go on to new business?
Might as well.
Okay, no old business, so we'll go into new business.
New business, Mr. Blish.
I do. So, the next three were tabled at the last meeting. Can I make a motion to take them off the table, all three together, or do they have to be separate? Because we tabled them as one motion, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I would like to do them one at a time.
Okay.
They'll be voted on individually.
Sure. I'll make a motion to remove ordinance 14, Council Bill number 34 from the table then.
Second.
We're voting on the motion to put ordinance number 14 back on the table. Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Abstain.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
So ordinance number 14, Council Bill, technically, it's moved off of the table, but it wasn't read by title. So now we have to make a motion to read it by title.
I'll make a motion to read ordinance number 14, Council Bill 34 by title only.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell? Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 14, Council Bill number 34 for 2024. An ordinance amending Chapter 50 of the Seymour City Code to update the schedule of sewer rates. Public Utilities Committee, Mr. Blish.
Yeah, so basically what it amounts to is, last time it was, if I remember right, about 20 years without a rate increase. To avoid a big rate increase, they're wanting to increase it beginning June of 24, June of 25, and June of 26. And it, depending on the year, it amounts to 3 to 4 cents a month. So it's not a big increase at all. It's just
It's a half of a percent.
That's what it equates to. Okay.
Half of a percent.
Okay. Any questions from council?
It's a half of a percent per year for a total of 1.5% over the three-year implementation program. So on an $80 sewer bill, it equates to 40 cents is what it equates to at a half a percent for year one.
Thanks for the clarification.
No problem.
Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there.
I would like to respectfully ask Mr. Blish, how many increases are there going to be, or intended or planned?
As of right now, 3.
Okay, what would rate increase number 2 and number 3 be then?
They're all half a percent, ma'am. It's a total of 1.5%
A half a percent of,
each year of your bill.
of the bill?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to also ask, are we having a citywide or system-wide failure on the sewer lines? The reason I ask is because I mentioned briefly last meeting on the sewer topic, my side of West 4th Street and going down the boulevards from about the post office going down as the roadway slopes because everything drains to the west towards the water treatment plant. The other side of 4th Street, 3rd Street, it just seems to be a rampant situation going on anymore, and I wish I owned Schneider's Plumbing right now. But it doesn't seem to be a matter of old lines or anything like that, but Schneider's has been finding clogs in the city main, and Schneider's has been contending to our neighborhood that they are bringing photographs down to City Hall and showing the clogs. Now, my home incurred about a $1,400 bill a few years ago the neighbor across the street just last week, another 1,200. Someone else was over 5,000. And Schneider's is the predominant provider of most of the homes currently experiencing backups that Schneider's claims to have photographic evidence that there are backups in the sewer main. Now, I'm going to say something, and I don't want this to come across as racist to anybody. There are many different cultures where 15 or 20 or more people are packed into residences, and residences are not coded with enough bedrooms to satisfy code enforcement. Like a 2-bedroom home or a 3-bedroom home is certainly not coded for 15 or 20 people in a residence. It seems that since there are a lot of homes that are completely busting at the seams with occupants, it may be purely coincidental, but that seems to be a triggering point or an origination point for a lot of the sewer issues that have been going on. They're also going on over in the areas behind Dairy Queen, Vic's Liquors, over in the residential neighborhoods over there. So that's just what I was wondering. When are the sewer bills going to stop going up? Even if it's a 2-cent increase or a 40-cent increase, if the problem is that we're fixing overloaded sewer lines because of our approximate 50% increase from 21,000 to approximately 31,000 residents in the city of Seymour, then we do have infrastructure issues based on that overpopulation and the overusage of the lines.
So I can't speak on all of that, but mostly because I'm not going to remember everything you just said. So what I can tell you, though, is typically if Schneider's or Birch's or whichever plumbing service you choose to use calls in and says there's a clog in the main, our guys will go out, they will pull the manhole upstream from you and downstream from you and look for a clog. Those are noted in the weekly reports. Probably about 1 out of every 10 is due to a clog in the main. Most of them, though, are clogs in the lateral. As far as capacity goes, which is what you were asking about on being overloaded, as far as capacity goes, we range anywhere from 50 to 60% capacity on our system. So we still have at least 40%, if not 45%, still available for every time you flush the toilet. So that's the pieces I can remember from what you just asked, though. So.
And as far as
back to you, Mr. Bush.
I mean, as far as the question, you know, how many increases there will be right now, we just have the 3 that are in front of us.
And how long has it been since it was increased?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Right?
But before that,
21?
it was
okay.
It was 20 years. Yeah, before that, it was 20 years, so.
Which in 21, it was asked that we come back and review this in 3 years. Thus, we brought in Reedy to do a study to make sure that it made sense. And here we are now with the information in front of you.
Mayor, we had some discussion back then, 3 years ago, just about a capital improvement plan. Were you able to make progress on chipping away at some of those items?
So yeah, since 2020, Water Pollution Control does their 5-year capital improvement plan, just like every department does. Yeah, some items have been accomplished, other items haven't. We have, since the last increase, been able to start putting more into extensions and replacements, which accomplishes fixing some of the problems like that were just described.
Right.
But ultimately, we are setting on a system that in a lot of places is 60, 70 years old. Kind of like our problem on Highway 50 the other day, where you've got a roughly 60-year-old line that after major construction last year before, decided it wanted 2 spots that were going to fail.
Right. So those are unplanned repairs, but some of the planned capital investments.
Yeah, at the same time last week as they were doing that, they were just a few blocks away doing planned maintenance. They have hired, and I'm not going to get the name right, so my apologies. Actually just got a text from Jaron that he can hear everything, but he can't seem to speak through the system. So
okay.
I guess on a positive note, if he can hear me, he could text me the thoughts here. But In the course of that, we've hired to line manholes to reduce infiltration again. We do a 3-year agreement with them because it saves us considerably, being able to do linear feet of manhole lining versus calling them in to do one piece. We've done the same thing when it comes into, and I'm going to get the name wrong, where you run the balloon through and then UV light it. Hydra something, yeah. See if he texts me the right name. No, of course he didn't. But we also do an agreement on that where then we can get them in here at set times. Instead of calling them in for an emergency that's 60,000, we can get them in here for 10,000 on a schedule.
You're on a cycle of also cameraing, is that the right word?
Yeah, we try to camera, I believe it's a 2-year rotation, CIPP, slip lining, let's call it that. He sent me a follow-up that calls it slip lining, but cast in place procurement, not procurement.
That's right.
Anyway, but in that, yes, we're also trying to camera, I believe that's a 2-year cycle trying to get everything, which was also some of that preventative maintenance the other day was, they come through with the camera and found a manhole that was, had been paved over.
Okay.
So yes, lots of moments where they're working hard to do the best for our system at the best rate they can.
Any other questions?
Yes, the mayor mentioned that we're about at 50 to 60% capacity. Is that roughly currently at the moment, our capacity?
Yeah, that's at this.
3 years ago, you said we started this study, we're gonna address this 3 years later, which is now today. Do you happen to know off the top of your head or paperwork somewhere what the capacity was at 3 years ago?
So it's going to change whatever the number of houses have changed in 3 years, but I don't know off the top of my head now what that would be.
Maybe you can inform me that, I may be misinformed, but wasn't it about 5 years ago that the city borrowed from the sewage department $5 million to complete the bypass?
That's
no.
Surplus of $5 million?
That's not true.
I'm just asking, I don't know.
No. Every year in January, the first of the year, we would pass an ordinance that allowed the clerk treasurer to borrow up to $5 million from that fund. I don't know, I mean, we never got anywhere near that.
I mean, what you said, what, a 1.5% increase, that's minimal for what we have. And you hear, I think it was in the paper, you see that, I just don't be informed of that.
So that loan is also paid back at the end of each year.
That's fine, I don't care, I just, if there's a surplus of that much, you wonder why.
The, what was, you remember what the clarifier was when it exploded?
It was over 3 million.
Yeah. So you have projects that very quickly clear $3 or $4 million.
Right, that's
So,
understandable, just
yeah.
bringing it up that, you know, we got an increase and then you got a surplus. That's why, which, like I said, the surplus, or the increase is minimal.
I think we have a $17 million project going on there now, do we not?
Well, we borrowed 12.3 million through the state revolving fund for multiple projects, including updating the plant, finishing off Snide Acres, which was promised 11 years ago and never got done, and a couple other relative small projects.
Mutton Creek Force Main was one of them. Laundry covers on the clarifiers, a new UV system to save on electric costs, and a belt press, 2 belt presses, which again will save on polymer cost and electric cost, so, which are all figured into the study.
I think Jaron and Doug are gonna be really proud of you guys for knowing all that.
Well, they've preached it enough.
Yeah.
Finally come on.
They've had enough white shirts on when they come in here, right?
Yeah. There's no more questions. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 14, Council Bill 34 on first reading.
Second.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Abstain.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Ordinance number 14, Council Bill 34 has passed first reading, 601. Back to you, Mr. Blish.
Yeah, once again, I'll make a motion to take ordinance number 15, Council Bill 35 off the table.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Abstain.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
So it's off the table, so we need to
Okay.
motion for first reading.
Make a motion for, to read ordinance number 15, Council Bill number 35 by title only.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell? Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 15, Council Bill 35 for 2024, an ordinance amending Chapter 50 of the Seymour City Code to update schedule of trash rates, public utilities. Mr. Blish?
Yeah, so I guess with this one too, is that the same percentage? I didn't figure it on percent, I just looked at it.
No, it's not
Okay.
a percent, it's more of a fixed amount
Okay.
with that.
So on this one, there again, it's the next 3 years for the trash rate increase. And, by my math, it was 25 to 26 cents a month. Or I guess that it would go up each year. Is that?
Actually, we're currently at $7 a month. We're going to take the rate, the goal is to take the rate to $11 a month over the course of 3 years. So year one, the rate would move to $8.33. Year two, the rate would move to $9.66. And phase three, to go into effect June of 2026, the rate would go to $11.
See, I didn't have that one for what the current rate was. I was just going off the increases. What'd you say it was currently?
It's currently $7.
$7, okay. Any questions from council?
Yeah, so we, the ARPA funds that were used for, transfer station, that was intended to be a cost savings measure, right?
Yes, so we're still waiting on IDIM.
Okay.
Approve. But Darren, what was the number that the study showed needing to go to, 12?
Study needed to go to, I believe, $12 is where they wanted to go.
Caitlin here to,
I saw her come in, yes.
I am here. We advised 1270.
okay, I thought it was more than 12, but I couldn't remember.
Point in time.
That's fine, I just couldn't see you, so.
Yep.
So anyway, the advice was to go to 1270, taking into account the transfer station. We chose not to go all the way to 1270 in the conversation, trying to account for savings that it'll create once IDIM finally gives us our approvals.
And once they get approved, if IDM provides the approval, are we talking like 18 months, 6 months for that?
My
to be
guess would be
operational?
6 to 18, easy.
Okay.
You
Chad
have a
shaking
direct
his hand.
opinion on that? So I don't think you can build it as quickly as 6.
Yeah.
But I think you can do it a little quicker than 18, so somewhere in between.
We want to get it done as soon as.
What happens
obviously
if we
possible.
don't get that approved in time to get the money spent before our time runs out on the ARPA funds?
Before the end of 26?
Pardon me?
Before the end of 26?
Yep.
We would, we'd have to reappropriate somewhere. But yeah.
I mean, if we don't spend it, it has to go back.
Mhm. Yeah, like I said, we're waiting on IDIM to give us our approval. We've submitted, reevaluated, resubmitted.
Did we change anything when we resubmitted it?
Mild changes, yeah. I mean, they
Well,
come in and made recommendations. We went through and followed their recommendations and updated the plan and brought it back to them.
Was it enough to make them go back and look at it again?
Yeah. Was
that a mistake on our part?
Actually, the mistake, in my opinion, was the fact that they let it set long enough for it to be timed out. Because if you get to a year on the request, IDIM will time it out. So they were at almost a year and asked us to pull it and reapply with the updates. So on that note, I mean, if we got anybody that's got connections to IDIM, maybe they could put some encouragement out there for us.
This last time it went pretty high as far as the chain goes. Currently, IDIM has 5, I believe, engineers working on ours to quickly get it back to us.
Good.
Any questions from the audience?
Les, would you mind coming up to just so we could hear you? Sorry.
Just for clarification, so on these trash pickup rates. So Rumpke, I think, does the city, right? Are they contracted through the next 3 years then? No.
No, they're contracted at the end of this year. They're wrapping up a 2-year agreement we had with them.
Okay. Is there a expected time when bids may open up in competition to that?
We normally will advertise for bids probably late November. Last several years when we've opened up bids, Best Way and Rumpke are the only two available, and since Best Way has to go to their transfer station and take it to Louisville or wherever they go, their rate traditionally is about 20% higher than Rumpke.
I believe that. I was just wondering if, with the economy being the way it is, if people that have bid a certain way in the past might change their ways of bidding in the future to possibly retain new business or secure new business.
We kind of have a mutual relationship with Rumpke because they take their waste that comes off, the liquid waste that comes off their landfill to the sewer department. And, you know, we bill them for that. They bill us for the trash. So there's kind of a reciprocal relationship there to where if we kind of hold steady on our rates, they try to somewhat hold steady on ours. But, you know, I'm sure there will be an increase since they locked this rate in 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, did you have something?
Yes. Do you mind coming up to the mic as well?
Sure.
Thanks.
So you said it was over a year and a half or over 3 years?
Over 3
It's
years.
anticipated to be at $11?
That's correct.
Okay. 7 to 11 is a roughly 63% increase, give or take decimal points. Is there that much increase of trash traffic then? Would that be indicative of how the mayor said of the usage? There's more houses being used, so there's more trash being used. And that's just kind of weird that the sewer usage percentage is so lower, but then the trash pickup is so much of a price increase.
Several things factor into the trash rate, obviously. You know, the amount of trash collected is one. I can tell you the cost of equipment has went up anywhere from 25 to 50% for a rear load packer, for a side load packer, for any type of the equipment they use. So those are the things that we're running into with Department of Public Works. They have a rotation program for their equipment, and to continually honor that, you know, this is going to have to be part of the equation because there does not seem to be any price decrease coming in the near future. As a matter of fact, what it take us last time we ordered a rear load garbage truck, about 6 months to get it?
Every bit of 6 months?
Every bit of 6 months just to get a trash truck. So because of the demand that's out there, the pent up demand that still exists and the lack of production, you know, the prices go up, unfortunately.
As in demand for the trash trucks and the use of the trash trucks, is that what you're saying?
Well, the demand for the trash trucks throughout the United States
Yes,
has
across
gone
the
up.
United States.
Yeah.
And so that trickles down and affects everyone.
Sure.
So I also, Chad, I don't have your 22 report, but I remember that it was up like 15 to 20%, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Trash weights
I know the.
from 21 to
The
22.
year, I remember COVID was an odd year because then
Okay.
it did grow up, I think, every year after that. So,
Okay.
so it'd be 21 to 22 maybe. 23 going in, maybe wasn't as big of a, I don't have those numbers in front of me, so.
I think this year, it's actually gone down a little bit this year, but
And then the other side of that sometimes is recycling as well.
the fact that everybody was at home, like during COVID, everybody was at home, they wanted to clean everything out. So we had quite an increase just 2 years ago. Had nothing else to do but stay home.
Okay. Remember over here, Glenn?
Yes, go ahead.
The recyclables that everybody puts out for them to pick up, isn't that supposed to alleviate some of the cost of stuff?
It still costs us to get rid of the recyclables as well.
But
Still
I
have to pick them up and haul them.
thought y'all got the money back out of that, and that's what went on these trash trucks and all that.
That would be the cardboard that we actually can
Cardboard's
make a
all
little
they
money
make
on.
money on, or return money.
I'm just asking.
Sure,
'Cause
that's
I knew
okay.
it goes somewhere around that circle somewhere.
Yeah, that goes to our recycling fund.
Okay, so what do they do with the plastic money
Yeah,
from
we
the
don't-
bottles and all that?
Yeah, we don't make anything off the plastic money.
It's actually a service we provide that Rumpke charges us for that piece of it also.
Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering.
Sure.
Trying to make that up, and the amount we pay per month is quite taxing. I mean, it's trying to be fiscally responsible for it too, and not charge everybody a bunch of money, but.
So do they charge us cheaper for recyclable material to get rid of as opposed to regular trash, or?
By capacity, probably about the same. By tonnage, no, because your bottles of plastic and stuff like that's a lot lighter than your compacted trash, if that makes sense. You can only get about maybe 3 to 4 tons on recyclables, whereas you can get 10 to 12 ton on a packer for trash. So they've adjusted that as far as that goes. But they, it gets processed from them, and that's part of our cost. They get it processed too. So business, right?
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
A lot of the
Mrs.
city
Hurkamp,
vehicles.
do you mind just speaking into the mic?
The white city-owned pickup trucks that we see that have the lettering on the sides that says this, in essence, this vehicle paid for with your recycling efforts. If the city is not making money per se off of the recycling of the plastic and the glass and the aluminum cans, one, why are we recycling? And two, are we really making enough money off of cardboard or other recycles to pay for those vehicles that are driving around that is advertising that this vehicle or these trailers are paid for with your recycling efforts?
They were paid for originally with the recycling efforts, ma'am.
Market's changed.
Back to you, Clint.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 15, Council Bill number 35, first reading.
That was Dave Stark here.
Second.
That's how long, that's the rotation.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell? Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard? Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Ordinance number 15, Council Bill 35 is passed first reading, 601. Back to you, Mr. Blish.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to take ordinance number 16, Council Bill 36 off the table.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell? Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard? Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 16, Council Bill 36 for 2024. An ordinance amending Chapter 50 of the Seymour City Code to update stormwater user fee determination. Public Utilities Committee, Mr. Blish.
Yeah, I guess before I start, do you have what the current rate is on that? I didn't see that, is why I'm
Well,
asking.
residential is currently $4 per household.
Okay. So this is, there again, a 3-year increase, so, I'm showing if it's currently 4, it'll go to $4.67, $5.33, and $6, so it'll go up $2 over 3 years.
Correct.
Questions from council? Any questions from the audience?
Over a 3-year span, that is a 66.66666% increase. How are we justifying it?
Can I take that?
Yeah. Hey, Chad, you want to go to the microphone?
Yeah.
Speak.
Well, I don't want to sound like a politician or anything like that, but right? When I took over, thanks to Matt putting me in, we had trucks that were breaking down in the middle of Highway 50. We had trash service trucks trying to make a left-hand turn on the 50 to get on, say, Walnut Street. That, for some reason, that was the area they all wanted to break down on, or a lot of them anyway. Since then, we have implemented this whole rotational fleet. And to keep up with that, I don't want us to go backwards. So I'd like us to have a reliable service to everybody and fiscally responsible, obviously. With everything, like the cost of everything going up with the trucks and whatnot, it is kind of imperative that we change with the times or whatever. We were on, $3 a month forever until we realized, okay, I can't fiscally say, okay, guys, I need more money to run my department. I want to actually be able to run my department and have the money to do that. Whether that be, trash service is big, yes, recycle does cost us a little extra, but we're also trying to give hey, we're trying to better the earth as well, if that makes sense. But we add that cost in, you know what I mean? So if you were to go to another service or whatever, it's minimum 16, I believe. Don't quote me 100% there, but it's around 16 for trash and recycle, or only trash, I don't remember now. But I've got some people at work that work outside the county, and their rates are quite a bit higher than what we charge, and trying to keep it low. I mean, yeah, I say that, asking for more money, but I think we give a good service for what we do. I mean, we do yard waste as well. It's not just trash. It's your yard waste. It's your recycling. And so, does that make sense? Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
We're talking about stormwater fees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we're on the stormwater.
Oh my gosh.
But I love your impassioned trash speech. Sorry. I'm stuck, man.
I would like to thank him for his explanation. He's very much like me. You have a main topic and it kind of briefly goes out here on this tangent, but it comes back into the same point. So I really, truly appreciate, as a citizen, your explanation of your personal desire and your job desire to be fiscally responsible. I wish that everyone in life could be that way. Kudos and applause to you for that. But in good conscience, I must have to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
As the city council and the entire city organization and management level is well aware, there are grants galore, local, state, federal, willing to be had. Do we as a city not have a grant writing team that can look for these resources that this gentleman needs to be able to run his department in a fiscally responsible manner, instead of the citizens being nickeled and dimed, 40 cents here, 1.5% there, the sewer 63.6363%, and then this from 4 to 6 is 66.666% increase. I appreciate his desire to be fiscally responsible, but I think there are ways that we can do it with grant writing on the state and the federal levels.
It's interesting you say that, because online, Whitney Colling, and I'm not going to ask her to speak because she's, but Whitney is actually our grant writer from ARA, Administrative Resource Association, which the city of Seymour is one of the co-owners of. They serve, I believe it's 13 cities statewide, doing a great job of trying to find grants for things just like this. In the last little over 4 years, we've worked on over $50 million worth of road projects that we wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for grants like you just suggested. So yes, we are working on every grant possible, every chance we get. Sometimes they make perfect sense. Sometimes it seems like we're chasing something that doesn't make sense. I always encourage my department heads when they talk about a grant to make sure they have a project for that grant and they're looking for that grant versus having a grant for a project they don't have. That way we're not coming back trying to go, wait a minute, we need to reinvent the wheel. If you have a project you're working on, Mr. Dixon, for example, has been working on yard waste issues for 3 years now, Chad.
Yes.
We've received several grant dollars trying to help from the Jackson County Solid Waste District on those as well. So yes, we do take grant opportunities very seriously, but we do also at times turn down grant opportunities because they don't always make perfect sense. So yes, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Bush.
Yes, sir.
With all respect, grant money is still tax dollars.
So Bob, I'm going to agree with you, but if the state is going to spend that grant money somewhere in Indiana, should we apply for it? Or should we just let somebody else get it?
That's a decision to be made.
So, because we don't have to apply for it, but because I don't disagree with you, grant money is normally tax dollars. But it's going to get spent in Lebanon or somewhere else if we don't apply for it, so. Chip?
Thank you, Mayor. I think we should explore grant money, but we should also remember to live by grants, you can die by grants.
Very true. Exactly. Good statement, Chip. Back to you, Mr. Bush.
Let Caitlin. Caitlin, can you come up and explain part of the increase for stormwater and what our goal is with that?
So one of the comments that I did want to make about grants specifically to sewer and storm, we actually went after grants this last round when we went after these bonds. But in the eyes of the state, whatever that means to some people, your rates are too low to receive grant money. So it's not that we didn't try to go after grant money to help along with these projects because it's millions of dollars. But again, your rates are too low. So that is something to actually think about. For stormwater, the rate starts at $4. We're requesting it to go to $6, which is about a 50% rate increase. What that's going to do is basically fund some of these projects that we've kind of put on the back burner for so long to try and mitigate rate increases all at once, because the sewer was pretty large 3 years ago, so we were like, let's hold off on stormwater for a little bit. But now is the time. We have a list of projects that need to be done. There are flooding areas within Seymour that's very obvious to a lot of people. So the $2 a month rate increase will be going to fund projects to work on the flooding issues. So.
Do you know when the last increase was on stormwater? Because I know we did.
When it was implemented in 2014.
2014? Mm-hmm. So it's not been raised since then?
Correct.
Thank you.
So when the projects are completed, are the fees going back down, or?
No, it's not realistic to think that a fee would ever go down, because there are always improvements that need to be had for sewer, storm, and trash. Does anything else go down that you have? Does your TV ever go down? Mine sure doesn't.
So once the projects are completed, what are you gonna do with the excess money?
By the time the projects get completed, because there are so many, you'll be restarting. Because assets depreciate and they need to be replaced on an ongoing basis.
Thanks, Kayla.
Thank you.
Yep.
I didn't catch your question. Step up to the mic so everybody can hear you.
You talking about the transfer station? It's next to.
Transfer station, I didn't know where it's gonna be at.
It's gonna be next to the DPW building at the airport.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's gonna be next to the DPW building at the airport.
Okay, that's neat, thank you.
Plan.
We'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 16, Council Bill 36 on first reading.
Second. This is first reading, so we'll hear this again, right?
Yes. Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Stay.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Ordinance number 50, Council Bill
1636.
1636 is passed first reading 601. Additional new business?
No, sir.
Mr. Blish?
No, sir.
New business, Mr. Terrell? Mr. Hackney?
No, sir.
Mr. Hubbard?
No, sir.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 18, Council Bill 39 by title only.
Second.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Same.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 18, Council Bill number 39 for 2024, an ordinance amending Title 9, General Regulations of the Seymour City Code, specifically Chapter 95, Health and Sanitation, Industrial Development Committee. Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Lorenzo, looks like you're walking up to the mic here. You want to explain to us what's going on?
Be happy to. My name's Jeff Lorenzo, and I come to you tonight as a member of the board of Seymour Industrial Corporation. For those of you who might not be familiar with SIC, it's been the principal developer of the real estate and infrastructure at Eastside Industrial Park for the past 40 years. We've either owned or optioned virtually all of the real estate on which several of our largest employers and many of our smaller employers are now located. We have signed a purchase agreement with a company interested in developing a facility in Seymour. It's a publicly traded company. It considered a number of sites in the Midwest, our location on the interstate, our transportation systems, and the availability of an established industrial park have met this company's criteria. But the ordinance before you is one of the contingencies Seymour Industrial has to meet to comply with the terms of the purchase agreement. Now, this company projects an investment of almost $84 million between this year and 2027. They will start with 97 employees and work up to 120 employees by 2027 with an average wage of $27.50 an hour. So obviously, this is a very significant investment. Now, this company is serious, very serious about environmental stewardship. It wants to make certain that its environmental footprint in this community complies with the standards to which they have held themselves as a company interested in the environment. The ordinance before you would allow the planting of native grasses, what I would call prairie grass. It would be limited to the industrial parks only. They would have to comply with the various certifications for what I would call green infrastructure. That's not something that we do locally. It's a national enterprise. The ordinance is written to make certain that the environmental certifications that are referenced in the ordinance are met. So if a new entity wanted to do this at Freeman Field, for example, where actually when somebody plants winter wheat, you can see what this looks like, because that's about what it's going to look like at the Eastside Industrial Park. When they meet the goals, they would be permitted to plant this, but only in the industrial park. The site is located, help me Marvin, between Hartzell Drive and the interstate. It's approximately a 70-acre site. Roughly 40 acres will be either buildings or concrete. So it's not going to be over the entire site. This LEED and site certifications that are referenced in the ordinance are related to the natural environment. These grasses will be native to southern Indiana, but it also references energy efficient buildings and water conservation. These grasses are not mowed. The ordinance that this is amending are basically a residential lawn ordinance, requires grass or rank vegetation to be less than 10 inches. So we have to address this through an amendment to the ordinance. That's why it is drafted in the way it is, so that it is specific to industrial parks and specific to companies that meet these environmental requirements. Really, that's all I have.
All right. Anybody from the council have any questions for Mr. Lorenzo related to this topic?
When you say environmental requirements, are you saying they must meet the LEED certification? Is that what you're saying for anybody else?
Right, that's correct.
And I've read it. But to clarify, to get that certification, it's not very easy.
It is not.
It's anywhere from a 1 to 3 year process and multi-millions of dollars to receive.
That's correct.
And this is across their whole area that they're gonna plant this then? I mean,
It
I
will
guess
be-
whatever's not. a
Whatever's
parking
not
lot
under
or a building.
concrete or under a building.
So,
Yes.
and Jeff, this site will be LEED certified and site certified. Is that correct?
It will, yes, eventually it
I mean,
will.
that's their goal.
Yes.
I just read that other locations in the United States, I just got a little
No, they
confused.
are located in several states throughout the Midwest.
Okay.
And all of their sites have this native grass, natural grass.
Okay.
And comply with LEED and sites certification.
Anything else from the council? Anything from the audience?
Yes, can you give us the name of the business that wants to do this?
I would love to give you the name of the business, but I can't. And I can't because both Seymour Industrial and this company have signed a non-disclosure agreement. That has to do with the fact that this is a publicly traded corporation. There are Securities and Exchange Commission requirements. There are disclosures to shareholders. And until they make those disclosures, they don't want this to be disclosed. Our hope is that by the time we get to second reading, we will make that disclosure.
Okay, and the facility is to grow native grass to southern?
No. The facility is a specific industry.
Okay.
The facility doesn't have anything to do with native grasses. It's just how they view their responsibility for environmental stewardship.
Can you tell us what the facility would entail, what it would be doing? Is it an engine plant? Is it a shipping company?
It's in the food services industry.
Food services.
Yep.
You have another question? Go ahead, Mr. Everhart.
Are they setting up to trade green values on the Chicago board for this set aside?
I could not answer that, Chip. I don't know.
If that is available, we think commodities are traded every day.
I'm-
And acres are set aside every day.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Anything else? Jerry?
I may have missed it, Jeff, who maintains the grasses?
They would maintain the grasses.
The company that's.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that include spraying fertilizer?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know. Yes, it also entails controlled burns to make certain that Seymour Fire Department doesn't have to show up.
Do we know where that natural waterway in that area feeds into and out of?
Do I know? I don't know.
Does the city know?
I'm sure the city knows. Jonathan Isaacs would be aware, and I'm sure Bernie would be aware. But generally, the water flow is west.
We got another question. Ma'am?
Are these grasses native to Indiana?
That's what they say. Yes.
But you don't know that for a fact?
I trust them when they say they're going to plant grasses native to southern Indiana. What specifically those are, I don't know. I know they said they're going to work with Purdue
And they're
Extension.
over 10 inches tall?
I'm sorry?
They're over 10 inches tall?
They are.
And, okay, I have seen some and they look like weeds. I kid you not. I mean, and then where are they gonna go from there? To surrounding areas, and we're gonna have clumps of them growing on places that aren't.
No, because the surrounding area is owned by Seymour Industrial Corporation, or optioned by Seymour Industrial Corporation. We have a farm tenant that maintains those grounds for us.
But if they go to seed, then that seed's gonna go with the wind or wherever. So that is what I'm indicating, not their intention on letting them go.
You're asking a good question, and I will find out for you how they address that. And at second reading, we will, Jim?
You say the average pay is $27?
$27.50 is what they're saying
That's average?
per hour.
Okay, so that's a lot of low-wage jobs. And a 60-acre complex, we're selling 60 acres.
A little over 60 acres.
Why are we giving up 60 acres for low-wage jobs in
They-
a prime location?
They made an offer on the real estate. The offer was accepted by Seymour Industrial.
So we're bringing in more jobs that the Brookings Institute or the Brookings Agenda is wanting to deal with. I think we need to get away from these low-wage jobs, businesses that we're attracting here. Jobs are good, but I mean, we can't find workers now, and that's basically why all these people are here, is because what this has eventually done to our community over the years is having to import workers for these low-wage jobs. And here we're continuing down that same path.
They don't wanna invest in the community, why are we investing in them?
Yeah.
Good question.
$27 an hour?
Yes.
Is that considered low wage?
$27.50.
That's average.
I'm just talking about grass.
My understanding from the conversation, that was the starting point, but I don't know for sure.
That is correct.
Not grass.
Okay, wait a minute. 2750 is the,
Go ahead.
thank you. 2750 is the starting pay, Jim, so I don't
So
know,
I ask average.
well, I don't know an average. I just know when the conversation that I had.
2750 was the average rate.
Jeff, is it average or is it starting?
It says average starting wage.
Average starting wage, Jim, 2750.
You said average wages. If I misheard, I apologize.
So, starting 2750. Thanks, Jeff.
I'm still finished.
Jeff's finished. I'm sorry, I was going back to you, Clint. You had it so long, Seth, back to you.
All right. So, we're just talking about grass. We're just talking about natural grass, right? So, any other things from the audience? Anything? Go ahead, Mr. Hurricane.
Yeah, I understood that Mr. Lorenzo had said average starting wage, but average starting wage is not the same definition of starting wage. You can have somebody here that's making $10 an hour and the CEO over here is making 1.3 million.
That's right.
So the average starting, that's where it comes out to 27.5.
No, average starting hourly wage, $27 to $28 an hour.
Average.
Average.
Hourly. Average
Starting wage
hourly
per
starting
hour.
wage.
So that doesn't mean that that's the minimum starting wage. Average starting wage is not the
Right.
same as minimum starting
Right.
wage.
I would assume that if you have some specialized skill, that you're going to be paid significantly more than that.
And this would yield, I believe you said 96 employees?
97 to start.
Okay, and we have very well-established industrial corporations already here, you know, Nippon Steel, Ison USA, and they're employing 1,200, 1,500, and I think 2 meetings ago, going to add another 396 employees, I believe, at Nippon Steel. I don't think we're talking the same level of investment that the city should be giving to a smaller entity. And as Mr. Lucas and some others point out, 60 acres of prime land where I think maybe we could do better if we're going to be trying to attract something that's more lucrative. But on the other token, why is it the responsibility of the city or the citizens to satisfy the manufacturing and industrial needs of other companies?
Can I take a pause on this real quick? We're just talking about grass. That's all we're talking about.
Right.
We're just trying to determine if we can change the
Grass
ordinance
is
to.
just a cover.
Correct. I mean, that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about whatever the business is or whether you
We're
think
not
it's right
talking
or
about
not.
tax abatements.
We're just talking about grass.
No investment from the city's part.
Bye.
Back to you, Seth.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 18, Council Bill 39 on first read.
Second.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Abstain.
Mr. Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18, Council Bill 39 is passed, first reading, 601.
Thank you.
Mr. Lorenzo,
Any additional new business, Mr. Davidson?
have nothing.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes, sir. Like to introduce resolution number 22, Council Bill 37, by title only.
Second.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Same.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas? Mr. Story?
Yes.
Introduction of resolution number 22, Council Bill number 37 for 2024, a resolution authorizing the filing of a CY 2025 application for the grant under section 5311-5339 of the Federal Transit Act as amended, Governmental Affairs. Mr. Lucas.
So it's my understanding that this is an annual grant that keeps our buses wheels rolling, and it's vital to the transit to keep that.
Whitney's online if you have any questions for her.
Yeah, so good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight I'm asking you to approve the resolution that's in front of you today. This is critical for Seymour Transit's funding. We receive about 50% of federal dollars to support this program. So again, as Councilmember Lucas said, this is pretty routine and something you saw last year as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions from council?
Les?
Hi, thank you. Just for clarification, so this grant, is it contingent upon a certain amount of monies being matched by the city? And if so, how much? Thank you.
Yes, so the 50-50 match, the estimated budget for 2025 is $621,000. So Seymour Transit would be receiving roughly $300,000 from NDOT and the federal government for operating expenses only.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
So this is Seymour Transit. Is this the publicly available transportation that I see going around taking people to Walmart, so on and so forth? Is that what this is? Okay, I just didn't quite hear you. I just didn't know what it was.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? If not, I'd like to ask that resolution number 22, Council Bill 37, be adopted.
Second.
I'm first.
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Abstain.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Resolution number 22, Council Bill number 37 has passed first and only reading, 601. Any additional new business, Mr. Lucas?
None from me.
New business, Mr. Story?
Yes, I ask that ordinance number 17, Council Bill 38, be read by title only.
Second.
Second?
Mr. Blish?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell?
Abstain.
Mr. Hackney?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yep.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 17, Council Bill 38 for 2024, an ordinance amending Chapter 75 of the Seymour City Code, 5th Street angled parking, 15-minute parking on 15th and Ewing. Thoroughfare and Drainage Committee, Mr. Story.
Correction there, 5th and Ewing. This just looks to what that just said, put angle parking on 5th Street and a limited 15-minute parking at 5th and Ewing. This had been through Thoroughfare and Drainage, I think, back in January or February, where we reviewed. We had asked that Bernie actually take a look, city engineer take a look and provide an assessment. He came back to our committee, gave an assessment. Instead of 45 angle parking, which has been pretty standard throughout the city and downtown areas, he actually skewed that up to 30%, 30 degrees, excuse me, so that we would get, I think, up to 22 feet of crossing through 5th Street. Any questions from council?
Is there anywhere else in the city that has 30-degree parking?
I do not, I don't think so.
Seems like
Chris, do you know?
rails, in front of rails is a little bit weird. Is that a different angle?
In front of rails?
Cause I never can park straight there.
I cannot answer that, whether or not it's any different in front of rails. I don't recall us passing an ordinance for anything.
I was gonna say, I don't recall anywhere that's 30 degrees, but don't hold me to that, cause there might be something.
So we're saying on one side of the street, we're gonna have 30-degree, the other side of the street, we're going to have
Probably be 45s.
45 degrees. How many parking spots will we be adding total
Oh, gosh.
to the side of the street from the current?
7.
Oh, yeah, 7, yeah.
7 is the total number of spots that will be on the south side of Fifth Street.
How many do we currently have before this project?
Was there 5?
Well,
I'm thinking 5.
I think that, that's right, there are 5.
So we're adding 2.
That's correct.
who was the requester?
The request came from, the owners of the fish stand.
Okay. That's what they wanted. This is what,
Well, they'd asked for angled parking. They didn't specify 45 degrees or 30 degrees.
but they wanted angled,
That's correct.
Okay.
And I know that, they have in fact reached out on many occasions to a few of us, just asking what the status was, so. So they're encouraged by the angle parking and the 15-minute.
And just to be clear, Bernie has said there's enough room.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I would just add one thing, and I'm actually gonna put Jerry Pauley on the answer to this one. I see you. Actually, I only see like your shoulder, but, Jerry, from your time in law enforcement, is it easy to enforce 15-minute parking spaces?
I didn't do it.
So just a reminder that it is really hard to enforce 15-minute parking spaces without assigning an officer.
I reached out to Chief about this, and pretty much had the same as your input there, it's pretty much used as a deterrent.
Yeah, you ultimately, you'd have to station somebody there full-time. but-
I believe the owners of fish stand are
Understands
aware
that.
that it would be difficult. But she's pointed out several times, yeah, but I hope that it is in fact a deterrent. So that people know that there is in fact penalty if Jerry would ever, if he had ever decided to enforce it. So,
I retired with the
I
same
know.
ticket book I started with.
I know. Wow. So I didn't call out the assistant chief, but.
John can
So-
attest to that.
So I think that downtown parking has in fact been a place that, yes, we have enforcement downtown, but it is not as strict and restrictive as if it were in downtown Indianapolis, right? So,
But their goal was for someone to stop there, pick up an order and leave.
absolutely.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is I know on previous 15-minute spaces, what we had was business owners calling, and complaining that somebody had been there for 30 minutes or, I can remember one particular call where they complained about 18 minutes. So I just want everybody to acknowledge that beforehand, that it is not an easy enforcement spot.
Does the city offer a pickup and drop off and loading zone certificate?
That's pretty much your 15-minute space, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's,
I won't go there.
okay, as long as everybody can hear you.
The people that have the adjoining home or homes south of the fish stand, does the linear footage of the width of the spaces encroach on the spaces that they have, or, to what degree that, they might have on-street parking? I don't know, maybe they park in an alley in the back.
The angle's on Fifth Street, the 15 minutes on Ewing.
I think with the ADA curb
It's
painted,
just
the
too
yellow
far
curb painted,
on Ewing.
the one space allowed for 15-minute parking goes up pretty much to the property line, I believe.
You're right.
So I'm no engineer. Bernie would be able to speak to this a lot better than I, but I'll take a stab. There's ADA curb painted yellow from 5th Street south on Ewing. From that point to the property line would be the fish stands. It's technically not the fish stands, it's the addresses, 15-minute parking zone. So they would have one space directly in front of 423 Ewing designated for 15-minute parking. So that should not affect parking for the homes or businesses south of 5th Street.
The only other question I have is the home that is on 5th Street.
In Mill?
I do believe so, that's where we're at. Yeah, there's it used to be a locksmith, didn't it, years ago? Isn't there a curb cut there for a driveway? Yes. I heard somebody say.
Yes.
Would we be,
I know
The drive is her, it is her, in fact, her drive, or,
the fish stand.
the fish stands,
Yes.
It is.
back access, yep.